New York City, summer 1981, Harlem, near my nana's projects. Me and my boys, we go hit the spot. The keyhole pops out, and each of us get a nickel bag from the Rasta. A nickel bag, more on that later. We go hit up the corner store, because in Harlem, it was just a store. In the Bronx, where my mom's rests, it was the bodega. But we hit up the corner store off 7th Ave, now known as Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. And we're going to get the usual. A couple of 40s, maybe that old E, maybe some private stock, something like that. They had the Schlitchmore Liquor Ball, I don't even think it was out yet. Maybe that Coquille 900, that was a beer. I'll have more on that too in a minute. So we hit the counter and we need some papers. It was always usually Easy Water or Big Bamboo. It was all out. It's like, you're all out, what's up? My man pulled out the box and said, all out, all out. Because everybody and their mama in New York City is smoking weed. So me, Mike of the Mike's Opinion Podcast, I'm not trying to walk a couple blocks up to the next store. I see these cigars. One in particular right in front of me. White Owl cigars. And I said, yo, let's try something different, y'all. He said, yo, what you talking about, man? We gotta hit the other store. No, we don't. I was like, yo, give me 3 of those White Owl cigars. And they was like, what you doing, cigars? It's like, yeah, man, we're gonna smoke different today. And they was like, all right, let's try it. We hit the big part. Now, in my projects, shout out to St. Nicholas Projects in Harlem, we had several different parks, right? We had the big park, we had 2 big parks, we had little parks, you know what I'm saying? We didn't even call it a park, but it was like a park. And in my block, it used to be a dead end. Now you can go straight through. But when I grew up, it was a dead end. And we sat in this park, and this park in the projects had these benches, but it didn't have no basketball courts. Now it was just like a baseball field. But we sat on the bench, you know, and we all sat up on the, you know, the backrest of the bench. And this is why I'm telling you these are facts. Because when we first started this, when I first started this, it wasn't no wet it down and split it. What we did was gently roll it and let the tobacco fall out. We never wet it, we never split it. We got the fat buds out that nickel bag, crumbled it up, and stuffed it. I'm telling you, I started BLUNTS. You are looking at the man who started BLUNTS. This man right here, Mike of the Mike's Opinion Podcast, started BLUNTS. Fuck what you heard. Yeah. So it's summertime. Summertime in New York City, I can't even say it's different. It was special back in the 70s and 80s. You know, when I was still in New York. I mean, I was born and raised there my whole life. I'm like, I don't know, 15, 16, something like that, teenager. At this point, I'm smoking regularly. I'm getting weeded almost daily, right? It's a daily situation. We smoking, and it was some technical difficulties. I'm just going to keep it 100. It was technical difficulties in the beginning, but we smoking, and it's mad people out. People got the boom boxes. WBLS is on the radio. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's listening to the same joints. Yo, about 30 people must have asked us what we were smoking. It lit like fire. I'm telling you, it's the God's honest truth. If you believe in God, it's the truth. Before anybody was doing it in modern times, smoking blunts started in New York City in a Harlem projects in the summer of 1981, and I started it.
You are now listening to Mike's Opinion, Logic Unleashed.
That's right. You are now listening to the Mike's Opinion podcast and watching on YouTube, maybe Rumble, maybe some of the other places where I might throw it up. But I appreciate you watching. I do appreciate you doing that. Thank you very, very much. Yo, true story. True story. I'm an old head. I live outside of Dallas now. And I was talking to somebody. Matter of fact, I was in the store. And this dude he was looking for what they smoke out in there, because I don't smoke no more. Like, I might smoke once every 5 years. I don't really smoke like that no more. I've done my time. I've smoked like a lot. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Snoop he's still doing it. I don't know if he had a lung transplant or not. But, and dude was like, the Black and Miles, and they got so many grape and strawberry. No, we have all that back in the days. Nah. So I was like, and then he's like, yo, let me get a Philly. Because they didn't have what he wanted. And when he said Phillies, it automatically made me think. So it was a young cat. And I was like, yo, you looking at the man right here that started blunts. So he looked at me. And at the same time, this other dude had walked in the store. He heard what I said. And he was like, for real? I was like, yeah, man. White Owls cigars. Matter of fact, no, he didn't ask the door in the store for Phillies. He asked him for White Owl. And that's what made me think White Owl. So I said, yo. And so he was interested. I was telling him, and the other dude was listening to the story. The other dude chimed in. He was like, for real, man. He's like, you always wonder where that started. And I'm telling you, I said, yo, now, maybe, ideas are not exclusive. Somebody could have the same idea at the same time. And maybe that's the case. Maybe not. Because at this other spot we used to go to where the Rosses was at, I remember smoking out of this joint called the Funta Leaf. Now, the Funta Leaf, it goes by many names. Matter of fact, y'all know I do my research for these episodes, and the Funta Leaf, called it the grabba, the hot grabba, the funta, the frunta, the fanta, red rose. They go by many names. So, but the Funta Leaf was another joint we used to smoke out of. But it was a big leaf, yo, and we didn't have the wherewithal to cut it down. So we would try to stuff this giant leaf, and it really was kind of loose. It really didn't work for us. So it was, like I said, the big bamboo and the easy water was the regular thing. We really wasn't going to be on the street with a pipe or a bong, nothing like that. People smoke out of fruit. People used to smoke out of cans. There used to be some other stuff they used to put on cans. Ooh, beam me up, Scotty. I'm not going there right now, though. But it was my idea to cop them White Owls that day in New York City, in Harlem. And I'm telling you, it caught on like wildfire. I can't really tell you when it became the word blunts. But I can tell you what we used to call it. We used to call it getting guarded, a garter, because it was a cigar. And we, yo, you gonna get guarded? Let's get guarded. So, yo, any of my New York originators, my old heads that was out there when Blunts was born, when hip hop was born, yeah, we started hip hop. And I'm not really into the regional shit, or the earthly shit. I don't limit myself. My hood, my city, my city, my city, blah, 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 blah. I'm always going to rep New York because that's where I was born and raised. But I like to think, I'm universal. At the very least, I limit myself to the Milky Way. I'm Milky Way, son. What's up? Milky Way Galaxy is in the building. Yeah. But I was reluctant a little bit to tell this story because I know a lot of people ain't gonna believe it. I really don't care because weed and stuff, hemp, it's been around since like thousands of years BC, like 4,000 years BC, over in China. They was rocking with hemp seeds, and like 500, BC, supposedly the Silk Road, they started smoking it. So we've been around for a long, long time. I'm talking modern day blunts. Who started it? Me. That's who. Prove me wrong. Mike's Opinion Show at gmail.com. Hit me up on any of the socials. Let me know your story because I got witnesses. And what I'm telling you, I ain't got no reason to make this up. No reason to make this up. I'm telling you my experience, what happened. And before that day, it was Big Bamboo and Easy Waters. And any other time, probably we would have walked. But I was trying to get my smoke on. I didn't want to go to another store. That store was immediately across the street from my projects. So let's try something new. You know what I'm saying? Let's get that. Let's do that. And we did it. So um just real quick, I don't know, the New York experience is just that. It's new and it's York, baby, all day. Um, and the spots. I said I was gonna get back to that. If you never had that experience like back in the days, it wasn't, I know a lot of states now, Cali, Colorado, and others, you could order weed to your crib. You go to these nice shops where all the weed and everything is laid out. Y'all got stuff rolled up. What they call it, the pre-rolls and all of that. Hey, I'm not knocking it. I'm just telling you what we had back in the 80s. And, the hard is hard. If you know about the hard is hard, please hit me up anywhere, socials. Like I said, Mike's Opinion Show at gmail.com. Do that. You know what I'm saying? Because you had to be a real New Yorker to know about the hard is hard. And, they got mad variations now and hybrids with sativa and indica and all like probably thousands of flavors, AK-47, blueberry, grape, bubble gum, and all that. We ain't had that. You know what we had? We had Colombian gold, that chunky black, you know what I'm saying? That tie stick, you know what I'm saying? And if it was real green lime with the red hairs with the little crystals in it, we call it that stinky, stinky, inky, ooh wee, skunk bud. I speak about it fondly because I miss my smoking days. And nothing really prohibited me from doing it except for now. Sometimes I feel like my heart is about to beat out my chest. I'm too old for that shit. Like the reverse happened to me, right? Like Snoop must have a high, shout out to Snoop Dogg. He must have a really high tolerance, right? Like, does he even get high anymore? He just smoke. For me, I don't know what's wrong with my physiology, my metabolism, but one puff, I'm zooty. I'm gone. And like what's zooty? That's what we used to call real high back in the days. Yeah, I'm zooty. But now the older I got, it's like one hit and I'm done. I'm done. That's all I need. I'm in the right place. But now if I smoke too much, especially if I'm not drinking, I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack. I feel like, and maybe I am. I'm up there, I shaved on the summer. I'm about to let the facial hair come back because winter's around the corner. Um, but yo, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel good smoking no more. So that's really, why I don't. But I mean, now if I drink first and then hit the spliff, then that's another thing we should call it the spliff. You hit the spliff, then then I'm good, man. Maybe I'm just paranoid because I mean I don't never have no heart attack or nothing like that. I don't have to seek medical attention. It just feels like that. It just feels like I'm too high. Like Stevie said, I'm too high. I'm too high. Ugh, ugh. Hey yo, um, I I had something else written down. And I need to put my glasses on that we used to call it. What was it? The skunk butt tie stick, the ooh wee. The ooh wee used to be also known for that dust. You know what I'm saying? And that dust, angel dust, I wouldn't recommend it for anyone unless you want to get phenomenally, ridiculously, you may never come back down high. And I know some people out in Cali, I think they call it that wet, but don't do it. Take it from me. But because I've been there, done that. I've done it all. I've never injected nothing. I've never taken ecstasy. Um, but those are about the limits of stuff that I haven't done back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But I remember that day visually and candidly and vividly starting blunts and how everybody wanted to know what we were smoking and you know, but going to the spot, usually in a tenement or apartment building, and you go knock on the door, and the round cylinder where you put the key in, the whole shit'll pop out. And I have to go say, "What you want, man? How money?" And you could get a tray bag or a nickel bag. If you was really balling, you could get a dime, but usually it was in tray bags and nickel bag. Tray bag was $3, nickel bag was $5. And it usually was one of them little brown paper envelopes. It was folded, and you can tell, if you got a fat one, you was happy. You get a fat nick, and it was on swell, and you can squeeze it, and it had that weight to it. You was like, yeah, we about to get bit. Yeah. Um, but those was the spots back in the day. You really wasn't going to no dude on the corner or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? You was going to the spot to get them nickels and them trays. You know what I'm saying? From Narasta. Iron Man. No. But I used to hang out with a bunch of dreads, you know what I'm saying? And smoking, yo. Those are the days, yo. If you in your like teens and 20s and you rocking, first of all, thanks for rocking with the Mike's Opinion podcast. I appreciate you. Like, share, follow, subscribe, comment, donate. The GoFundMe's out there, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, all that. Your support be greatly appreciated. But yo, cherish these times, yo. I remember this old Gladys Knight song, and it's called Memories. It's a real nostalgic, touching song. I believe it's a remake, but Gladys did it best. But she starts out the song. She says, "Everybody talks about the good old days. How bad these days are. Well, these are the good old days for the young people. These are their good old days. They're gonna look back on these times. Yeah, with COVID and mass shootings and all this, but nevertheless, these are their good old days. And my good old days was real, real, real good. You know, growing up in New York City, you know, I'm a kid born in the 60s and watching the birth of hip hop, you know, and all the famous people that I know, um, just watching the birth of crack and the fashion and the food. the air, just the environment, the atmosphere. There's people everywhere. It was um it was incomparable, is what it was. New York City, 70s, 80s, incomparable. It was crazy. It was bananas. It was lovely. It was great. You know what I'm saying? But I had to finally go ahead and drop this app because if you want to know, if the world needs to know who started blunts, you looking at him. You looking at him right here. This guy, Mike of the Mike's Opinion podcast. Now, like I said, maybe in other places, like I said, I did the research. Every website I went to definitively said, ultimately, at the end of the day, they don't know. I know. But a lot of people say Bushwick Bill from the Ghetto Boys, rest in peace, Bushwick. You know, he turned on Snoop, but that was like in 93. This was very early 80s, like I said, 81. It might have been 80, but it was 1981 because I think I was like around 15. And like I said, I was smoking regularly, cigarettes too. You know what I'm saying? Um, I believe I was on them Newports just like everybody else, smoking cigarettes, drinking, 40s, and smoking weed and loving life. You know what I'm saying? But Mike of the Mike's Opinion podcast started blunts in the very early 80s. And like I said, we didn't even call them blunts, they was called garters. Yo, let's go get gartered. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get gartered. And we wasn't even splitting them. We used to just roll them out. And looking back, that's why them joints used to hit so hard. Because if you know anything about White Owls back in the days, you split them, they got layers in that joint, So now, I mean, we evolved and learned to take out that big, thick paper-like layer and just use the outer layer. You know what I'm saying? And our blunts was mad raggedy back in the days, yo. I know they got, machine rollers and they got people that's just skilled rollers out there. But we used to kind of have to hold it because it'd be kind of limp and kind of be leaving down. But we worked it out. We worked it out. And it used to burn slow and it seemed like it lasts long. Because back in the days, you could get two garters out of a nice fat nickel bag. You know what I'm saying? It might take the whole tray bag. And I'm not even going to front. Back in the days, you might catch a couple of them tray bags and nickel bags. And you got to get the shoebox top. If you was in the park, you just had to kind of do it in your hand, but you had to pick out the seeds, You had to pick out the seeds because they didn't know how to crossbreed with just a female plant where it didn't, rock with no seeds or nothing. And but you had to get the seeds out your joint because back in the days, it was not uncommon. When you smoke a joint, that sound like a firecracker. Pop, the seed will pop. Your whole joint kind of explodes just at the end a little bit. You might get hit in the eye with an ember or something. You know what I'm saying? But that was smoking, back in the days. And usually you had the I've almost said their name. Starts with a B. You know what I'm talking about. Those lighters, very popular lighter. I don't want to say no name, no brand names for free, man. Because I'm not sponsored. And everybody's like, they get paid to say people's names these days. So blow up the show, please. Help the show blow. It'd be greatly appreciated. You know what I'm saying? So like, share, subscribe. It's like a broken record, right? You hear everybody say it, subscribe. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the likes button, hit the notification button so you know when a new one drops. Like I said, I'm considering putting it on other platforms like Rumble. I just did some research. There's a bunch of other video platforms out there. Of course, YouTube is the biggest and hottest. But I just started doing YouTube about a year ago. Now you have the facts. Now you know where blunts started. tell a friend, and tell them to watch and listen to the Mike's Opinion podcast. Do that. It'd be greatly appreciated. So when you smoke your next blunt, don't pour no weed out, because you know people pour liquor out. No, don't do that. You ain't gotta do that. But just take a hit from me. Say, yo, this is for the originator, the creator of the blunt, to my man Mike of the Mike's Opinion podcast. It'd be greatly appreciated. I hope you're doing all right out there. As always, I thank you for listening and watching. I'm Mike. This is the Mike's Opinion podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to Mike's Opinion. Logic Unleashed.